Caitlin, Chloe, Lynn, Sam, welcome.
Thanks, John.
Thank you guys for coming in.
Thank you. Thank you for having us.
Lynn, I'm going to start with you because I want to ask a question or maybe a statement about a movie that has high school kids who are smart and interesting and independent. That to me is what sets this movie apart. Was that what attracted you in part to the script?
It was, definitely. I liked the way that they all seemed smart and mature and interesting and full, three-dimensional characters.
Not right now.
Such like they are actors.
But
they clearly
exactly. But they're still kids. They're still
really
allowed to
mature.
be kids, Because I've seen a few films or I've read a few scripts that they were like, there's the worldly wise, the like super smart, smarter than other than all the grown-ups around them. So sometimes those kids are a little bit, they're not real because they're not really kids. So I liked how these kids were allowed to be real and smart and genuine, but real. They're also real kids.
I mean, it's those, for the actors, for the junior actors, not the senior actor. When you guys were talking to Lynn,
Senior.
When you were talking to Lynn,
you guys gonna get the early hour special tomorrow?
Experienced.
You guys gonna
Getting out the walker.
When you guys were talking to Lynn about who these girls were, what were the kinds of things what were the questions that you had, and how did you work with Lynn to help find those characters?
It kind of just happened.
We jumped into it.
Yeah, I mean, we didn't be like, what do you how are we gonna do this? I mean, I think when you talk about it too much, when you're in rehearsals and stuff, you can kill the spontaneity of it. And I think when you're just two kids, I mean, we're pretty much the same age, so it's not like she was 24 or I was 24 or something, and we were having to make a fake friendship. It was just she just turned the camera on and watched us try and say the lines without being foolish.
Yeah, we got a little time to kind of hang out and be silly together on set and just kind of get to know each other.
We didn't do much rehearsal either,
Yeah.
which was really
No, we didn't have any
nice.
time.
You guys are both firecrackers, let's face it. You guys are
They're
both.
super talented.
The
Well,
the yearbook scene is a scene that feels to me, among all the scenes in the film, a lot of people, including me, have singled it out for feeling incredibly authentic, natural. I mean, I don't know if it was ad-libbed or scripted, but it's a tiny little scene. But I'm curious, Lynn and the actors, about that scene and about what it meant to the film and what it meant to do it.
it was just we were just saying stupid stuff.
Yeah, some of it, most of it was
It was just oh.
Yeah, well, I mean, end of it too. The end.
it was.
You okay?
What was that?
I didn't think of it. You know what I mean, though? It's
Yeah.
that weird stuff.
It was scripted, but then also we were just messing
part
around
was
in
not
that scene.
scripted, however. I actually had anxiety about, I was talking about this a little earlier, about how I really want this to seem like a real friendship, and I don't know what, it was really strange, and it was well, you put two goofy girls together, and it turns out, they act like goofy girls. I mean,
Neither of us
Oh,
it was
were
amazing, it was
shy,
so
per
natural.
se.
Kira's not here to defend herself, so we can go after
She's
her.
right here. She's wearing a cloak.
The invisibility cloak
She's
from
right
Harry
here.
Potter.
She's
Like Harry Potter.
She's right there.
She's right
Like
there,
Elijah.
But we can talk about the character and about her relationship to your character. It strikes me that that's a character that if you go 5 degrees off course, you're in real trouble in terms of her seeming unrelatable or so crazy that the audience is going to reject her. So I'm curious, how fine a line do you have to walk in that character and in your character's relationship with her?
You thought her character was close to being crazy?
No, I said
Sorry,
if
Sam's.
you veer 5 degrees off course, you have people are going to look at her in a very different way. That there's a narrow margin of error within her character.
I think just always trying to keep it grounded and real, and for me, she never felt that way. To me, she just felt very human.
Oh, you mean because she's that morality part of it, or?
Yeah, no, I think the character is great. I'm just saying if you don't get the tone right,
Oh, Jesus,
the whole
sorry.
thing.
Oh my god.
Whoops.
Cut that out.
I'm curious about what drew you to the part and the conversations that you had with Lynn about who this guy was, and
Well, we were pretty much on the same page, I think, pretty right away. It was all. I think we wanted to create a guy who was a real guy, who was kind of a little sad, but also charming, and yeah, I mean. What do you remember
we talked a little bit about his arc. I mean, that was what I was really focused on. This is a guy you had to believe that He starts out. I want him to look a little older at the beginning, a little bit more, sort of world weary, and just he's really cynical. I think he's in a really cynical place, especially about love. He hasn't connected to anybody in a long time, and he's been, he didn't really want to be a parent. He's sort of doing that because he was sort of stuck with it. He's doing his duty, and then he really is brought to life, I think, through this process, and it takes him by surprise, I think. And so there's I wanted to see you have to sort of start with the bleak, garden, that then then you can see flowers blooming or whatever,
No, that's right. I now remember we talked about the way he dressed and how at one time he had mojo and he kind of lost it, and then by the end of the film we wanted him to get a little mojo back because he's falling in love, and so we did little tricks with the makeup and the wardrobe to kind of, and his hair changed a little to kind of give that illusion and support the acting, but so that he blossomed. I think we even talked about like a flower sort of blossoming.
And then his flower, not to be too much of a spoiler, there's a bail scene which is incredibly heartbreaking to watch as an audience.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful scene in which everything that he imagines is going to happen, everything just falls apart in front of him.
Yeah, it's where he's been abandoned, just like she's been abandoned. It's the second time. So it's that scene where you find out she's engaged.
Yeah.
It's being abandoned again. Yeah, which is terrifying and lonely. Yeah.
Yeah, make yourself vulnerable and just get beaten down.
Yeah.
But you talk about duty. He is, in my mind, and compared to other movies, a very loving parent. He really adores his daughter.
He calls her on her crap, and he definitely is we discussed that
That's
too.
something else that happens though is Craig starts to see Annika as more of a real person instead of just a gerbil.
With a very small mind that has no concept of time.
Exactly.
Right.
Because I think he's been doing his duty by her, but there's never been this like daddy love kind of, daddy's little
Connection,
girl. Like, not a real connection. Yeah, I think there's been a little disconnect between the two. And I think a lot of it has to do with the fact that he just sort of sees her almost like this little puppy or a little pet, and he just has to keep, make sure she's safe and give her, feed her, and make sure but doesn't really see her as a whole person. And because of this relationship, this friendship that she develops with, with Kira's character, and he develops a respect for Kira's character, and so I think that helps him to see, I guess my daughter, wow, if she sees something in her, I guess there really is, she's all right, Yeah. It kind of opens his eyes to her.
And she's going through that rebellious age where parents are idiots,
And she's confused because she's in a divorced family and she has neither parents really there for her, and her friends are all mixed up too, so it's kind of like, she's kind of confused.
This one,
Her friends are real mixed up.
bad influences over here.
I'd say borderline, not bad. But it
Borderline
also,
influence. She steals.
Well,
That was, yeah. He mentions it though.
like
She
we
put the
did,
belongings away.
yeah.
like we all did in Shoplift.
Exactly.
Come on. Last question: do you think parents and children will see this movie in a different way, or do you hope they see it in the same way?
I think different generations will take different things from it for sure.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because I remember walking out of the theater and I talked to my mom about it, and my brother who's 32, my brother who's 27, my brother who's 22, and I talked to them all differently about it.
Really?
Every single one from like each kind of the same generation, but they're different. They all had a different outlook on like what it meant, which is so interesting.
I think it's one of
that's
those ones that
exact-
reflects back on your own experience and where you are in life. Yeah.
Yeah.
For sure.
That's exactly right. Yeah, I think that's true.
But that's a great sign of success of the film, that people with different backgrounds, different histories, different ages can take away totally different things from the film. I guess that's a sign that you guys did good work.
Well, it's like it's like what Kira was saying today. It seems like a small concept, but it actually speaks on a totally. It's so much such a bigger level.
Universal
It
level,
speaks on such a universal level, emotionally.
My very last question, because I thought I heard it in is Laggies actually a line very quickly in
Yes.
passing?
Yeah.
Okay.
She's got it
And
right
what's
there.
its origin? Should I know?
Got
Is
the
this
line.
exposing me to be totally out of
no,
it?
no.
You know what's
always the
great
line.
about the line is that
Yeah.
you barely hear
Barely.
it. It's
Barely
just
hear
like
it.
you
Yeah.
can let it under your
Laggies.
breath. That's the best part of it.
It's awesome.
It's just
got
a
this little
throwaway.
Throwaway. It's really nice.
Ugh,
The word came from the writer who used it all the time with her high school buddies. They would always be just like, "Oh my God, can we get out of here, Laggies? You guys are, that was the term.
Really?
You're
We
lagging
used to-
behind.
You're lagging behind. One
You're
who
holding up.
lags. Exactly. And she was really surprised that I had never heard of this term before.
Probably a NorCal
And I
term.
felt really out of it because I hadn't heard. And it turns out, no, nobody outside of her group of friends
Yeah, I never heard of it.
had never heard of it. And so she came to realize, oh, it was just our weird little thing. But and at first, for a little bit, I was kind of anxious about the fact that, well, nobody's heard that term. They don't know what it is. And maybe it's a title. But we played around with other titles, and they just weren't as singular. They found it too generic. And I realized,
change the name.
yeah, that was the plan. And then I became really appreciative of the name because I realized you don't know, even if you don't know what it means, it kind of causes you to lean in a little bit, I think.
Makes you listen.
Makes you listen. And you can
Yeah.
kind of guess what it means too. So
And if you change the title, they're going to say The Seasons of Life or something like, sounds like
Exactly.
a Hallmark
Something
Hall of
that
Fame.
sounds like, been, yeah.
it's hard, to come up with something that sounds as good. So there
Thank you
you
for
go.
coming in. Thank you for
Thanks,
making
John.
a great movie.
Thanks for having
That was a
us.
good chat.